how do you think, what is the WeWork edge basically? How do you differentiate yourself from your very capable competition in the country right now?
So I think it's, multifold. What I, one from our product perspective, I think, design, our service level and, our community teams and what we're able to do for our members, the experience layer that we, put in place, and also the technology that we have are the product differentiators, I would say. And over the last few years, we've also built an entire suite of products to take care of every single work need, rather than being focused on maybe one segment or, one type of customer, which I think a lot of our competitors, are. As WeWork, we want to be the platform for hybrid work across any business that actually needs it. And that comes with, having spaces that are suitable for both smaller businesses as well as, fully bespoke custom spaces for large multinationals or, a managed office product, if you want to call it that. So in a space like this, what you'll see and what we really, strive to do is to help companies actually make their cost a lot more variable and also give their employees a much better experience. And through spaces like, what you're seeing around you right now, these shared conference rooms, even a games room or a larger, classroom that is bookable through our app. It allows companies of all sizes to actually have amenities and spaces in their office that their employees can use when and if they want it, rather than paying for that space, holding that real estate cost, all of the time. And at the same time, the employees actually get, a vibrant space filled with other people that are more social, and just gives everyone a much better experience for being in the office. So I think, that product with the suite of solutions that we have, and obviously the global network that we're able to, provide for some of these companies gives us the biggest edge, I would say, across most of our competition.
Interesting. And you mentioned, right, technology and how people can book stuff through app. So do you think technology plays a crucial role in the overall Flex offering? And have you developed, bought or built any technology that you think will be game changing?
So I think that, technology is going to be a huge enabler in our space. I think if you see how we do everything in today's, day and age, there is some form of technology that allows us to do it. And when we have companies of so many sizes, so many different members and so many spaces, having a good technology stack allows us to manage this with less amount of people much more efficiently, and at the same time giving our customers a much better experience. We've also doubled down on certain technologies like, Zoapi is a company we bought just last year, which allows for seamless screen sharing and collaboration with all video conferencing tools. So because we have so many different types of companies, some use Zoom, some use, Google Meet, and a lot of times there is another person on the other end of the screen versus, in the office. Post-COVID, this hybrid style is going to continue. So for that and to facilitate that, we, brought that product on. We also have the WeWork member app, which, allows all of our members to book any of our spaces all over the world, and gives them access to book their conference rooms, use the credits that they get, with their WeWork membership in a completely seamless way.
Karan, essentially today, what is the market you're trying to address in India, and what is the need you're actually trying to solve for?
Yeah. So I think we've, decided to focus on the top tier of the market. So, WeWork India is a mid to premium player across the market, where we have, a product ranging, from our on-demand product, which is almost $500 a day, to a BKC or to Horizon type of location, which goes up to almost 40,000 rupees a desk. So our focus is to aim at the top tier of multinational companies as well as the Indian enterprise, or India Inc., if you want to call it that. So for the next few years, our focus will continuously be in the top 6-7 metros, in top micro markets where there's already high demand for both enterprise and SME and MSME space, and companies that are growing. So from where we are today, there's going to be very few markets that we expand out of. Our idea is going to be to continue to focus on the locations that we're in, create a much larger network, develop economies of scale across each of these cities, and continuously address those top tier of companies in India.
But of course, like India Inc. is also beyond these metros, and
yes,
there's a lot of tier 2 cities like Ahmedabad, Indore, Kochi, Coimbatore, getting a lot of traction from these clients.
Yeah.
So would you not want to go into those markets?
So I think that we will not ever go in with our complete spec, flex product. We will definitely look at, and we are looking at opportunities where there's a large enterprise, demand, or there's some sort of already existing demand through one of the companies that are already with us, or potentially going to be with us, to enter those cities. I think for our business, for the amount we spend in our spaces, the quality of infra that we're providing, we do need to hit a certain price for this, for the unit economics to make sense. And also when we look at a building or look at a location, it's not just about the city or the demand. It's how much social infrastructure is around, in those micro markets. Can we as WeWork open 10, 15 locations, in that city? We would really not want to enter a city and just do, 1, 2 or 3. We really want to look at it long term and see, if we can do multiple over time. And if a city ticks all those boxes, we will definitely enter. I think some of the cities that you mentioned are probably just not as mature yet, and the type of absorption isn't as great for us to move out of the cities that we're in. Just to give you an example, like Bangalore, leases 13 to 16 million square foot of space in a year, and even a city like Chennai, which is still a top tier metro, is like under 3 million, square foot on a best, like on a good year. So to move even lower than that for us doesn't really make sense at this point in time.
Understood. Is the role that landlords or developers have played so far, in the sector, and what's their contribution expected in the future?
So I would say, it's definitely been a journey as we've been growing the segment, but the landlords are, our biggest partners and have always been one of our biggest stakeholders. And for the industry today, they're, essential to how this industry grows. So what you will see is that, when we first started, landlords were nervous to even sign a lease with us because they weren't sure what the model is, will the company last? And today the segment itself has grown. Many companies are funded, healthy businesses, and are actually doing quite well. So there's a lot of confidence in, the landlords. For us, what we see the next trajectory, which we're already starting to see with landlords, is that more than just being a lease-tenant partnership, landlords are willing to now actually be part of the business, take risk along with us. In a lot of cases, landlords have invested, in the capex with us. We've done revenue share deals or these operator type of deals as well. So you're slowly starting to see, just like in other forms of real estate, whether it be hospitals or shopping centers, etc., where there is an operator that actually manages the entire real estate and the landlord is just the asset owner. You're slowly starting to see that happen with commercial real estate also, where a landlord is happy to de-risk himself, give out the entire space to an operator like us, and allow us to then provide the flexible solution, the flexible term to a lot of tenants who are now asking for that, especially coming out of COVID. And that's how the progression is moving.
And do you foresee more landlords like yourself now, reaching out to international partners and bringing in more brands like you did, or starting their own brands in Flex?
So I think, not just in India, by the way, everywhere in the world, developers have tried to, address this model. And I think one of the reasons we as Embassy also very consciously decided to do this a little bit outside of our, parent business without an Embassy name, and built it really from ground up rather than it becoming just another vertical, of Embassy, is that we realized that there's a DNA issue, there's an operational expertise that needs to be built, and there's also a design expertise that a landlord doesn't really have that needs to be built. Also, if you just see how a landlord is stacked, they take leverage to develop the project, and then they want to take LRDs on the tenants that they come in with. Having another additional layer of risk and cost for a landlord, it doesn't really stack up unless you're running it as a separate operation. And I think around the world, not many landlords have been successful in doing this model. So I don't see that actually happening. I think landlords have realized that I'd rather give it out to someone who knows what they're doing, and just either be a partner with it. And again, I just want to draw a parallel. It's like a landlord saying that he'll set up a Four Seasons hotel. It's never going to happen, right? They much rather give it out to Four Seasons and just leverage their expertise to do that.
So Karan, how do you think that the global or private equity investors perceive this market in India right now?
I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Today, the situation with a lot of companies are, I think a little cautious. One, from what's happened in the industry and what's happened with WeWork Global over the last few years, but also generally, I think the US right now, from an office commercial real estate perspective, is a little bit on the back foot. So in this moment in time, I think there are companies that really understand the space, understand the value that we're bringing in, and they are very interested. And you can see that funding has come into the space over the last few years. I still think there is some amount more of education that we need to do as operators and and promoters, and the companies that really come into understanding the business versus looking at it from the outside with this negative perception. Once private equity starts looking at the numbers and actually starts diving into our business and seeing how healthy it is, how much cash flow is being generated and how profitable we are, that's when the interest starts to uptake, and there's a lot of attention.
And do you think like how WeWork Global listed in the US, we'd see any listings in India as well in the sector?
I think definitely it seems natural. Once the business hits certain scale and is actually profitable for a certain amount of time, the business actually requires very little external capital. And, so in my opinion, there's two reasons why you would do a listing. One is to raise cheaper financing for all of your capex growth, and then also, the other is obviously, the natural ability for the shareholders to, liquidate on the business. And I think, if those are two priorities that any operator has, they will go down that route.
It's been a very insightful and engaging discussion as always. Thank you so much for being such a gracious host and sharing all your thoughts so candidly.
No, thank you, Pulkit, for having me on the show, and I hope you enjoyed it and got a good sense of what we're trying to build.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this episode of FlexCast. We'll see you soon again with another eminent personality from the Indian flex industry. So until next time.